rose, if you give it another name, does it depend on where it grows? What is a stream? If it's flowing away from the shore, does it become a different thing? We are all bound to the rhythm of nature's heart, and we are flowing like a stream. Some hear the drumming and draw from life flawless art as they are guided by their dreams. Nobody knows just how a stream decides where the water ought to flow. We are all part of the sacred circle of the road. A little girl born in another place and time than this world where I come from. She said it's time for a change, it's time for a way to be made. I can almost feel it come. She stands as a woman with a faith that moves mountains, would not be moved by any man. How could she have known? Simply by sitting still, that she could shake an entire land. Nobody knows just what that woman felt in the moments as she chose to say, I too am part of the sacred circle of the rose. Nobody knows just what a seed must dream in the days before it grows. I too am part of the sacred circle of the rose. Angie works the tightrope, she's a circus superstar. You will find her amazing, it don't matter who you are. For the old and jaded, she's the best thing that they've got. Everybody loves her if they wanted to or not. Even if she stumbles, you won't see her looking down. She never finds her answers on the ground. She's not afraid. She's not afraid of falling. She's not afraid of falling down, down, down. You can't be afraid. You can't be afraid of falling. Don't be afraid of falling down. Stephen is a wonder, standing nearly 9 feet high. He's humble standing at the top of the world, looking down on creation, looking down on creation, and it's so lonely at the top of the world, at the top of the world. You ain't got no money, have you? You ain't got no damn prospects for the future, but you're free. They say, God bless the children born in our democracy. Oh yes, now I think I see. You see, that has nothing on God's green earth to do with me. Yeah, I am standing at the top of the world, looking down on creation, looking down on creation. They tell me it's melting at the top of the world, at the top of the world. And I got places to go. You gotta move fast, think fast, 'cause money's time, you know. Don't tell me about no polar caps in my trouble, no. You just gotta know where to go when the storms get wild and when the winds get close. I'll be headed for the top of the world, looking down on creation, looking down on creation. My God, it's so lonely at the top of the world, up at the top of the world. Hey, where you gonna go? Where you gonna hide? Where you gonna go? Where you gonna hide? Yeah. Ain't got no answers, have ya? Do you still make believe there's a future bright and free? The foundation of which we build on hypocrisy. Oh yes, now I think I see. You see, that has nothing on God's green earth. That has nothing to do with me, 'cause I am standing at the top of the world, looking down on creation, looking down on creation. It's so lonely at the top of the world, up at the top of the world. Where you gonna go? Where you gonna hide? Where you gonna go?
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation at Montclair. My name is Marcus Gray Hauk. I serve as the Director of Music Ministries, and my pronouns are he, him, and his. It's wonderful to be with you once again. If you are watching this service live on Facebook or YouTube, we encourage you to share your name and, if you wish, your location in the comment section and let us and each other know that you are here. We begin again with the hymn Busca el Amor, Seek Out the Love. And It is in Spanish, and we're gradually making our way to singing the entire song in Spanish. This week we're still going to do the verses in English, but we are going to sing both choruses in Spanish. And so as a reminder, the translation of Busca el amor is seek out the love in you and find the joy that comes to those who care. Seek out the love in you. It only grows whenever it is shared. We invite you to sing along wherever you are. Our hymn leader today is Dana Moore.
Examine that heart of yours as you look for the love on your high shelf. Past the pleasure and past passion for your own self, for the love that's reaching someone else. Buscar amor en ti, se multiplica si lo repartís. Buscar amor en ti, solo que ama puede ser feliz. Buscar amor en ti, se multiplica si lo repartís. Buscar amor en ti, solo que ama puede ser feliz. Buscar amor en ti, en ti. Your heart's a chameleon, ever open to change like any flower, spreading out for the sun, petals bursting with power to be loved. That's reaching someone else. Buscar amor en ti, se multiplica si lo repartís. Buscar amor en ti, solo que ama puede ser feliz. Buscar amor en ti, se multiplica si lo repartís. Buscar amor en ti, solo que ama puede ser feliz. Buscar amor en ti, en ti. Just as long as I have
Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever age, identity, history, ability, gender, sexual orientation, or political affiliation, you are welcome to bring your full self here.
Grounded in faith, we come together to nurture the soul, inspire hope, and bring into being a more just and loving world.
And today, we have a special welcome. A welcome back to worship of Minister Emeritus Reverend Charles Bluestein Ortman. Reverend Ortman served our congregation for 20 years, leading with love and an ingrained commitment to social justice. We have much to thank Reverend Charlie for. I'll note specifically our internship program. Reverend Ortman instituted this program and then ensured its thriving with the Ortman Internship Fund. Reverend Ortman, we'd like to add, has also continued to lead with love as he has been generous to a fault with his time and gracious acceptance of our leadership.
Welcome, Charlie. Welcome home to a congregation that you know and love. It is an honor to share worship with you. So if you are all joining us at 10 a.m., please continue with us for a virtual Connection Cafe, which begins at 11 a.m. Check your announcements for the Zoom link. And today at Connection Cafe, we will have two incredible opportunities. First, we will welcome new members in today's service. And during our cafe, we will share a litany to welcome them into community deeper. And also today, Reverend Ortman will join us for conversation and connection.
So that's all to look forward to, but it's time now to light our chalice, a beacon to guide us through these times. Perhaps you have a chalice or a candle at home, anything that you can illumine. Let's light our collective chalices as we share our chalice lighting affirmation.
Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful. Let us open our minds to learn what is true. And let us open our hearts to love one another.
Now that that chalice has been lit, I want to take just a moment at the beginning of this invocation to say how pleased I am to be with you in worship this morning. I'd be far more pleased if it were in person, rest assured, but since that cannot be, I want you to know that I have felt your presence keenly during my preparations for this virtual gathering. I hope you feel embraced by the experience as well. I also want to say how grateful I am to Reverends Anya and Scott for having so graciously invited me to be here with you all. To those of you who remember me, I cherish my memories of you. I'm so grateful for this reconnection. To those of you whom I've never met at UUCM, how glad I am that you have found your way to this life-sustaining congregation, that together you are all becoming over and over again. It's good to be together, even in this electronic configuration. And so to begin, the poet Rumi wrote, "Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, yet again come." And the poet Walt Whitman wrote, "Whoever you are he or she for whom the earth are solid and liquid. You are he or she for whom the sun and the moon hang in the sky. For none more than you are the past or the present, for none more than you is immortality." Be with us now, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, as we experience together the time-honored endeavors of worship, wrapped in awe, embraced by gratitude, enhanced by service.
Amazing grace, how sweet that sound that calls us to be together, seeking a soft meditation, a deep reflection, an ardent prayer, entering into the space of depth, each in our own way, yet mystically, all together. And we enter into this space by hearing the lamentations, the requests, and the remembrances of our community. Let us hear one another to heal one another. Jenny Crooks lights this candle for her sister Dottie All, who has been very ill with COVID-19. Please hold Dottie, Jenny, and their family in your prayers and attention. We light this candle for David Lewis and the Burr-Lewis family as they mourn the loss of Carolyn Burr. Aware that grief moves in waves, we hold them in the light and the warmth of community. We light this candle for the victims of Hurricane Ada, a late season storm that has ravaged the southeastern U.S., hitting the state of Florida twice. We light this candle for our nation's veterans, those who gave greatly so we may live freely. May this light shine for all, and especially those service members who are transgender and non-binary, those whose commitment to our nation was dismissed by our highest officials. For these and all, this light shines, honoring your true selves and your sacrifice. We light these final candles for the joys and sorrows that have not been spoken aloud. In the silence that follows, you are encouraged to speak the names of those you are holding in your prayers, or you may also write their names into the chat. May we hold this silence as this silence holds us. May our listening bring forth acts of love.
Spirit of life, God of our understanding, force of love that is a balm to the fissures of our soul, remind us how to find our way home, even here on this scorched earth. Help us to remember To remember is to put back the parts, the members of ourself and the members of the human family. Help us to remember, to heal. And Spirit of life and love, help us to lament, to scream, to shout the wrongs that we have and continue to endure. Help us to lament our place in unjust systems, the way we've been trained to hate and to perpetuate inequality. Help us to scream and to shout, to wash ourselves in tears, because this too is remembering our way back home. And God of our understanding, source that has whispered liberty in the ears of all the freedom fighters since the dawn of time, remind us that none of these ancestors had a monopoly on power. That Ida B. Wells, who fought back against lynching, and Diane Nash, who co-founded the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and Ella Baker, who mentored W.E.B. Du Bois and Stokely Carmichael, and Bayard Rustin, who organized labor alongside of Dr. King. That none of these, Wells, Nash, Baker, or Rustin, when the God of their understanding whispered liberty in their ears, had a monopoly on power. If they had a majority, it was in righteousness alone. God of our understanding, remember us so that we can find our way home. Remember our ancestors, remember our souls, remember our courage, resound as our joy, resound as our conviction, resound as our healing, resound as our love. May it be so, remembering and resounding ever and again. Amen. Now the anthem that follows comes from our congregation's composer and residence, Tom Parente, and his song, The Healing Path, will be sung by our choir. May this piece help us remember a bit more and find our way back home.
Every day.
We have an opportunity now for one of our favorite rituals, the chance to welcome our newest members into the life of our congregation. This is our new member recognition, and these are the new members. First, we welcome Chris Buden. Chris appreciates the diversity of thought and social justice advocacy that he has found here, and Chris hopes to experience a spiritual home where he can learn and grow in a socially conscious manner and be a part of a wonderful community. Welcome, Chris. Next, we welcome Fran Roy. Fran chose to become a member of this congregation because she has similar ideals and feels very welcomed. As a member of the congregation, she's hoping to gain more of a sense of community and wants to help in all the ways that she can. Welcome, Fran. Next, we welcome Will Thomas. Will chose to become a member because he likes the interfaith approach and commitment to social justice, and he wants to get more involved. As a member of our congregation, he hopes to experience greater connection and purpose. Welcome, Will. Next, we welcome Juliana and Paul, who themselves have felt truly welcomed, inspired, and moved by the services and ministers and members of the congregation. They hope that they are able to be of service in meaningful ways, building relationships and gaining support, especially as they embark on this new journey of marriage. Welcome, Juliana and Paul.
Yes, welcome, new members. Beloveds, it is a radical act in our rapidly transforming world, beset by so many challenges and distractions, to choose to commit to a congregation. You, our newest members, humble us with your attention and your membership. Now, take a moment to recall those moments that drew you to join this congregation. How were you first welcomed? Who did you see? What did you hear? How did you feel? And now, do you pledge to participate and strengthen this, our community, by welcoming all seekers who find their way to us in the ways they need to be welcomed as you were? If so, then please say, I will.
New members, congregation from wherever you are, whenever you experience this worship, we are so glad for your presence. And community, please continue with us for a Connection Cafe at 11 a.m., where we and our new members can share our new member litany, making promises one to the other.
We have two readings this morning, one ancient, one modern. First, from the book of Genesis, chapter 9. God said, I establish my covenant with you. Never again will all life be destroyed by the waters of a flood. This is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of that covenant. Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember our covenant. And the modern reading is from For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough by Ntozake Shange. These lines come at the end of this award-winning play, after each of the 7 women, unnamed but identified only as one of the colors red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, or brown, has expressed her exasperation in response to her nearly fatal experiences of battery, robbery, rape, misogyny, racism, and oppression. In the end, the women find strength in their connections with one another. And once again, the rainbow appears as a symbol of hope. The lady in red begins. I sat up one night, walking a boarding house, screaming, crying, the ghost of another woman who was missing what I was missing. I wanted to jump out of my bones and be done with myself, leave me alone and go on in the wind. It was too much. I fell into a numbness till the only tree I could see took me up in her branches, held me in the breeze, made me dawn dew, that chill at daybreak. The sun wrapped me up, swinging rose light everywhere. The sky laid over me like a million men. I was cold. I was burning up. A child, and endlessly weaving garments for the moon with my tears. I found God in myself, and I loved her. I loved her fiercely. All of the ladies repeat to themselves softly the lines, I found God in myself, and I loved her. It soon becomes a song of joy, started by the lady in blue. I found God in myself. You know that I found God in myself. And I loved her fiercely. I loved her fiercely. I found God in myself. The ladies sing first to each other, then gradually to the audience. After the song peaks, the ladies enter into a closed, tight circle. The lady in brown then declares, and this is for colored girls who have considered suicide, but are moving to the ends of their own rainbows.
Thanks to Amy Brabson for her gifts of talent and attention in providing our readings this morning. Thank you so much, Amy. So it's kind of a weird year that we've got going here. I'm 70 now, and I've had time to see a lot of things, and I've never seen anything like what's going on around us now. Ecclesiastes says there's nothing new under the sun, but I don't know. Maybe if you've been around for 700 years, this sort of stuff would seem like old hat. But I'm guessing none of us here have experienced the cluster of things that are here for us to find and work our way through in the present. As I begin to consider what comes next, I think back over the last 4 years, but in truth, this past year alone gives us more than enough to contemplate. I don't suppose anyone knows just when the coronavirus arrived, but likely in January. It was in full swing, though, by early March. The Black Lives Matter movement began years ago, following over 4 centuries of racist brutality and oppression. But the movement certainly took on a new urgency on May 20th, when George Floyd was murdered by a policeman in Minneapolis. It's been amplified by each of the many similar travesties since then. I'm not sure just when incivility became the vernacular of civil discourse, but it reached an unparalleled nadir in the presidential campaign just concluded. I would be quick to note, too, that it was a one-sided practice. I don't know if in this country the loser in a presidential race has ever refused to accept the outcome of an election, let alone refusing to facilitate a peaceful transition of power and administration, a loser who also promotes mayhem and even violence among his followers. Kind of a weird year we're living through. Un paso a la vez, one step at a time. My wife Judy and I have done a lot of walking since the pandemic began. Often we walk 3 or 4 or sometimes even 5 miles at a time. I imagine some of you, maybe many, have been doing a lot of walking too. I went out one time on my own early in the pandemic. I found myself wandering through a nearby residential neighborhood that was somewhat familiar to me, having ridden my bicycle through it a number of times. While I still love biking, folks, I have to admit that walking offers a much better opportunity for close observation. So I was walking along and looking across a yard and up at a house that I was passing, and I saw a child's rendering of a rainbow. It was drawn on a piece of paper and taped up in a window. That's nice, I thought. Oh, a rainbow. Very nice. And then walking up the street further, I saw 3 or 4 more houses with more drawings of rainbows pasted up in the window. And then it dawned on me the kids in those families had put those rainbows there just for me. Well, for me and for anyone else who might happen by to see them. The message I got from those inspiring pictures, though, that I was sure was the artist's intent, was take heart, have hope, savor what beauty you might find in this moment. The message wasn't about going over the rainbow, it was about getting over, getting through, getting beyond the coronavirus. I came home and immediately printed the image of a rainbow that I found online on a piece of paper, and I proudly and gladly taped it up in my street-facing study window so that it might be seen by walkers passing by our house. The message I want to offer you this morning revolves around that metaphor, the metaphor of a rainbow. Rainbows have held their own in symbology for countless years. In the Torah, the rainbow is a symbol of both God's anger and God's love. In The Wizard of Oz, it's the symbol of a journey into an unknown land that's filled with beauty and possibility, as well as treachery and danger. In the LGBTQ community, it represents diversity and union, inclusion, strength, and hope. As I started thinking about the rainbow in relation to the pandemic, especially the rainbow in the window, I began to think of each of us as a kind of a window. Each of us being an individual window showing through to the larger whole where that universal rainbow is glowing. And even in the midst of all the danger and treachery, all the anger and despair, the tedium and the grief we may experience as a result of COVID-19 and the many other cluster items that we're in the midst of, if we look deeply enough into our own personal windows, into our own souls, I trust we'll find at least a glimmer of that collective universal rainbow there. Perhaps there we'll find in us a rainbow filled with the promise of love and beauty and happiness, of community, strength, and hope. We'll find what we need to get through all of this. And having found it there within us, each of us a part of the whole, will be challenged to build our faith in it and to discover our way through this moment, not so much with dread, but with possibility and with healing. We've got a lot to work our way through. The virus isn't going away anytime soon. President-elect Biden tells us to prepare for a dark winter. Recent racial incidents will likely lead to continuing travesties. History tells us that we have much to undo before we establish ourselves on the path of racial justice. Incivility in the aftermath of the election has reached new depths, even as we are likely in the midst of the second greatest constitutional crisis in our nation's history. Anger and rage have been unleashed. Anger and rage have been nurtured. The question that leaps out at me nearly every day in the midst of this mess is, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be at this moment in history? And what must you do in order to be that person you desire being at this particular crossroads in time? Do we want to be a part of promoting the animosity and the mayhem that are so abundant? Or do we want to be a part of healing that is so desperately, so very desperately needed? I don't imagine that I'm alone in facing questions like this. And I don't claim to know the answer to any of the questions of this moment any more than any of you might. What I believe, though, is that there is a process that can help us through all of this. one that is based in faith, a faith buoyed perhaps by the symbol of a rainbow, here to remind us to take heart and to have hope, to savor what beauty we might find in this moment. Faith in a process symbolized by a rainbow that holds both anger and compassion, that's filled with the promise of love and beauty and happiness, the promise of community, strength, and hope. Faith in a process represented by a rainbow that connects us as individuals together within a much larger whole. I know I want to be a part of the healing, and I'm not at all sure how to go about that. But I think that's the point of the closing scene in For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough. Once we know who we are, once we know that we want to be a part of healing, we need to connect ourselves to and with others who want the same. I found God in myself, and I love her, sang the lady in brown. If we find God in ourselves and we love her, if we find goodness in ourselves and we love it, how can we help but to find that goodness, that godness in others? We don't have to know all the answers starting out, but we do have to recognize, as I believe we do, that the answers will never be found in giving up. They'll never be found in hateful, vindictive behavior. For our answers to lead towards hope and healing, they can only be found in love. Love symbolized perhaps by a rainbow. A great healing is needed just now in our bodies and in our hearts, in our nation. It's up to each of us to choose who we will be in that process of healing. However more challenging the road ahead may become, and I trust it will be even more challenging than it is today. But hey, there's a rainbow just there in the window. And it's been put there just for you, as well, of course, as for anyone else who comes along and happens to see it. Watch for those others who will find and embrace it there. They are your people. And maybe, just maybe, the rainbow is enough. I'd like to invite you into a moment of reflection with the question, who do you want to be at this moment in history? And what must you do in order to be that person that you desire to be at this crossroads in time? And now I'd like to invite you to join together in singing hymn number 201, Glory, Glory, Hallelujah.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down, glory, glory, hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down, feel like shouting, hallelujah. Since I laid
glory, may the burden come down. When you give to our offering, 80% of your gift will care for the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Montclair, and 20% will support our justice recipient. In recognition of the advocacy that has ensured the release of 3,088 incarcerated individuals in New Jersey, and in support of their homecoming, our Sharing Our Riches recipient for November is the New Jersey Reentry Corporation. The Reentry Corporation will supply these 3,088 souls with their basic needs, will help them with housing, treatment, mental health care, and medical care, and will create a supportive environment that, among other things, will promote family reunification. You can text to give, mail us a check, or go to our homepage and click on the donate button. This is a time of need. All of your gifts are worthy, and they are all received with love.
The term benediction literally means good word. Our good word this morning comes to us from the 19th century abolitionist, supporter of women's suffrage, and Unitarian minister Theodore Parker, who wrote these words that are familiar to many of us. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living. May it be so. Amen.
Our worship has ended. Let our service begin. Go in peace. Go in joy. Go in love.
Until we meet again,
Virtually or otherwise,
under the rain
or under the rainbow,
you are in our hearts.
What is a rose if you give it another name? Does it depend on where it grows? What is a stream if it's flowing away from the shore? Does it become a different thing? We are all bound to the rhythm of nature's heart, and we are flowing like a stream. Some hear the drumming and draw from life flawless art as they are guided by their dreams. Nobody knows just how a stream decides where the water ought to flow. We are all part of the sacred circle of the road. A little girl born in another place and time than this world where I come from. She said it's time for a change. It's time for a way to be made. I can almost feel it come. She stands as a woman with a faith that moves mountains, would not be moved by any man. How could she have known? Simply by sitting still, that she could shake an entire land. Nobody knows just what that woman felt in the moments as she chose to say, I too am part of the sacred circle of the rose. What a seed must dream in the days before it grows. I too am part of the sacred circle of the rose. Angie works the tightrope, she's a circus superstar. You will find her amazing, it don't matter who you are. For the old and jaded, she's the best thing that they've got. And everybody loves her if they wanted to or not. Even if she stumbles, you won't see her looking down. She never finds her answers on the ground. She's not afraid. She's not afraid of falling. She's not afraid of falling down, down, down. You can't be afraid. You can't be afraid of falling. Don't be afraid of falling down. Stephen is a wonder, standing nearly 9 feet high. He's humble and he's holy. He can almost touch the sky. I believe his secret's in the balance that he's found. He stands with stilted feet on solid ground. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of falling. He's not afraid of falling down, down. I am standing at the top of the world, looking down on creation, looking down on creation, and it's so lonely at the top of the world, at the top of the world. You ain't got no money, have you? You ain't got no so low.